The future of drones is mostly autonomous.
Welcome back to the Unmanned Podcast powered by USI. Today we talk to Chris Strasbaugh. He's the Director of Learning Technologies at The Ohio State University. We're going to talk about how post-secondary drone education and certification is changing the scene of being job ready in this industry. We'll also briefly visit Switzerland. No kidding. Let's go. Hello, everyone watching. Welcome back to the Unmanned Podcast. We're here with Chris Strasbaugh, the Director of Learning Technologies at the OSU. Is that how I'm supposed to say it, Chris?
The Ohio State University. You nailed it.
Awesome. Give us a bit about your background and where you came and how you ended up landing there.
So I have quite the unique backstory. I actually didn't come from an engineering or an aviation field. I actually was an archivist and photographer until that infamous day when I was at OSU and faculty said, wouldn't it be great if we could take some pictures from above? Can you buy a drone and learn how to fly it? And we're 8 years later, and not only did I do that, but mapping was introduced, supportive research across the college and the university, and we also started building a program because it turns out it's easier to build a program when someone knows how to do the action.
Awesome. And that's a common refrain that people fall into the drone industry. And I think as the industry grows more and more and scales and widens its aperture, it's going to be less often that you hear that, oh, I fell into it, or somebody asked me to pick up the mantle here. And it'll be more of the individuals that you're dealing with probably on a daily basis that are like purposefully finding ways to get educated, finding ways to get experience and get into the field.
Yeah, that is correct. And the way that we've been viewing it all along is it's more of a tool in a toolbox. And whereas I didn't discover it until after, these students actually can see right now that no matter what group they are attached to, what major they're attached to, there's already an established path that can go alongside them and they can use it wherever they're going. So yeah, you're right. Back in the good old days, I'm the grandpa, but that's not true anymore. You start seeing them all over the place.
Yeah, I gotta be honest too. You said archivist, and I was thinking, man, did he say archaeologist like Indiana? That would be awesome.
Hey, I've also supported archaeology projects in Israel and in Greece with drones as well. So you never know what your backstory is going to be. I might need to get the hat though for it.
So let's talk about what's going on at OSU and what's going on in that the drone education scheme. There's a difference between having a minor in drone technologies or going to a degree completion program and even a certification program. What kind of things are offered at OSU and how is that built out there?
Every institution's different and every person is different in what their needs are. And so OSU was really focused on what makes sense for us. What does the industry need? What do our broad base of majors actually need? And so we actually took this approach 3 years ago, 4 years ago, to start building out the kind of this idea of drone plus. And so, yes, we have a fantastic aviation department that is one of the oldest and has support crewed aviation for a very long time. We have our own airport. So all of that was foundational. But at the same time, drones are way more than just aviation. And so what we wanted to do is be able to help all these other groups be able to add the drone tool or the mission planning or the safety or the repair or the data processing or what all of that is, that ecosystem to their major. So yes, major is something down the road, down the pathway that, everyone wants to have a great major, but where I think that Ohio State is really focused on is being able to add that impact through something easy, through a minor as our first goal, our first milestone that can work with any of the majors. It's going to become a Gen Ed class. So Part 107 as a Gen Ed credit. is coming down the pipeline as well. All of this stuff is moving really fast, even though a university doesn't always. But we're also thinking creative outside of the box as well. So it's about our K through 12 pipelines as well. So structure our classes, our regulation class that's focused on Part 107 and the safety side, but then also our ground and flight for our second class. If a student comes in from a high school anywhere in the nation and they already have the certifications through USI, they automatically can just pass through to the next level. And so all of a sudden they're halfway to a minor at that point.
Chris, it's interesting you talk about all those multidisciplinary fields within the drone industry. It's not just going and flying with controls and going and taking photos. There's the safety aspect, the maintenance, the administrative or fleet management. There's just so much more to it in the drone industry. And I found that interesting, your comment on that.
And that's one of the big cores, the idea of flying the drone. If we're only teaching students how to fly a drone manually and do really amazing videos, we're doing them a disservice. The future of drones is mostly autonomous. And when you start thinking about autonomous, as you start seeing what's happening potentially right now at the FAA symposium with Part 108, if we're not preparing them for, even if you're flying autonomous, you need to be aware that the drones that you're sharing the sky with, the advanced air mobility you're sharing the sky with, the helicopter, they may or may not be crewed aircraft. They may be flying an automated flight pattern. You need to understand that you are just part of that process and you need to be prepared. You may be loving the fingers on the sticks, but ultimately we want to prepare no matter what field you're in, there's something autonomous that you're going to be able to think through and do and pre-plan or post process. So
Totally. And it's important to stay in front of that bow wave too. You don't want to be reactive and have a student or an aviator be really sufficient or really, a subject matter expert of hands on the controls, but be wildly out of touch with the autonomy side of the house. So having that balance of prepared for today and prepared for tomorrow is important. And I think I'll speak about USI. We're doing that as well. And it sounds like OSU is doing it. And it sounds like what we're both doing is waiting on 108 because we've talked about it for a few episodes here.
I definitely am checking my news feeds right now. Oh, well, maybe not right now, but I want to know what's going to be happening because the entire future for us, for me, for these students does hinge on what it's going to look like. And we can use our crystal ball. I know I've been using my crystal ball and people have been asking, what do I think? It doesn't really matter what I think, but I can prepare all I want. But
Yep.
we keep prepping the students that just because you might have a grasp now doesn't mean it's going to be the same way.
Yeah.
Operations over people changed a lot too. So helping them to understand that you still have to be well researched, well read in this, but
Yeah.
it does pay to get them to know that there are actually rules of the road, that that Part 107 exists, and that's going to be core no matter what path they actually take.
Yeah, it's interesting too. You keep referring to your students, and something I was thinking about is what kind of students are being drawn to the program. What do you see their typical aspirations are, and what drives them to get into this field from your perspective?
It's a lot of different stories, and it's actually really cool to hear the different stories. So originally, when the program was started under the Center for Aviation Studies, one of the big focuses is what is the future of aviation going to be? Are there going to be two pilots in the cockpit? How do we prepare a student right now that wants to be a pilot, but are they going to be able to retire pilot? And so originally, that was the big crux of it. But ultimately, you start seeing a lot of people coming through ag engineering or agricultural areas that are really focused on sprayer drones. You start seeing aerospace or mechanical that are really focused on the hardware about it. Computer scientists, we've had CSE majors coming in right now. There's a research project going on one building over about how they're going to be able to do drone swarms to talk to each other in autonomous flight. Um, We have different student clubs. The drone mountain team at a Bird Polar Research Center really spun things up, and then so you start seeing a lot of people that want to either use it as a tool, that want the data from it. So our geographies, our environmental studies, our archaeology, anthropology, or you want the people that want to be involved in the process. So it really does run the whole gamut. And at the end of our first class, our first course, which is Part 107, we all know that we can get through safety in Part 107 or before the end of a semester. We turned it into, well, okay, now you kind of have an idea of the rules of the road. I want you to design a business and create a business plan, and you're going to do an elevator pitch for your business. And then that's where you start seeing students that one was talking to me about salting roads with drones. One was like, I want to have an advertising banner go across the beach. And then you have mapping and modeling and construction and stuff like that. But I would say that OSU is broad, and so are the students that are attracted to this program.
That's a wonderful idea to go to that next step of let's hear what you want to do with this technology and the tools. And I know for one that my aperture was really small. I come from the delivery background of drone delivery, which happens to be the most eye catching or the thing you see on TV right now, but it's probably just a speck of what is being used in all the different drone verticals. And you just talked about, kind of an agricultural sprayer with the salting, which is really great. I think that's amazing. So if somebody's hearing us, don't steal their idea. But the other
Exactly.
one, but the other one is for our audience out there. There is a drone banner company out there, and so it's just amazing how these folks can find different use cases for the technology.
And I'll also say one of the really important things about OSU too is it's not just about what happens inside our OSU bubble. It really is about the partners in the field. Students don't know what they don't know, and they might listen to me 70% of the time, but then they might just kind of doze off, or my stories no longer become interesting. But when you, Matt, show up and start talking about your experiences, or we have Davy Resources show up and talk about their American Electric Power, or so on and so forth, those demo days, those experiences, those hands-on things where they can hear from the experts, that's been one of the most exciting parts of the job, is seeing those industry connections really pour in and get the students excited, and that even pours into the K through 12 pipeline as well.
Definitely does impact them when they hear those use cases, and it might not resonate every use case with a student, but one of them will.
Exactly.
There's another company out of Washington that's reseeding post forest fires with drone technology. That an environmentalist or somebody that's wanting to reforestation is a really cool thing, and that might energize somebody to work into the drone industry because they're into reforestation and things of that nature. What do you do at OSU to help people prepare for that role? And make sure they're not just test ready. Make sure they're not, oh, I've just got my cert, but really have applicable job ready skills when they leave.
And this is one of the big things, and it also ties to our K through 12 pipeline. It's really hard for an employer or even us to know, yes, you got a Part 107, but that doesn't mean you ever flew. I actually had someone on my staff before that was able to pass their Part 107, but in 6 months never felt comfortable enough to actually put his hands on the sticks for
Yeah.
any aircraft. The big thing is we need to find a way to be able to verify that we are creating a rigorous program, that when you see a student apply for your job, not only do they know how to pass a test, but they also understand the much bigger picture. It's not just I'm part of an ecosystem, which is what a Part 107 is. It's more of just a knowledge of I am part of something, to actually being able to be part of it and do something in it. And so the USI certifications were a phenomenal way for us to be able to create those pathways, saying, yes, we teach our own curriculum, we teach USI, but at the same time, that's kind of like this is how we're showing that they are an industry recognized pilot or operator, and that this is the set of skills that you can expect from them. And at the same time, the plus, we're going to teach it the way that we see these students individually need. One class will be different from the next class because it's different based on the number of students. But along the way, you're getting to see those certifications. And like accepting a high schooler that comes in, it's very easy for us to say, oh, you have the Part 107 and this USI safety badge and that USI safety badge and this ground flight. That allows us to verify that yes, they've hit milestones and they are able to move into that next level. In our case, it would be BV loss courses. So it really does help take out the mystery of the industry when you have these additional certs.
And I appreciate that. And as an example, you said American Electric Power, who actually are partners with us, and they are using drones in a large scale. I mean, mapping, inspection, and both for their distribution and transmission lines. And we're talking nationwide, not just in Ohio, but Texas and Appalachia and all types of different locations and different environments. And some are more complex than others. I mean, here in Texas, you got oil derricks and other types of crazy apparatus that are hazards. In Appalachia, you have hills and mountains, similar
Correct.
but different. So making sure they're ready for those different environments is always important. How about specific tools or technologies? Like, what do you prioritize? You briefly talked about autonomy, and maybe is AI thought of, or any other type of, those types of things?
Well, OSU is definitely launching big into AI with an AI literacy program that's supposed to span all academic units. And we all know AI is moving very fast. So the first step, it seems, is going to be just understanding what AI is, what it's capable of, and how you can trust but also verify it. And so how can we utilize these tools and experiment with these tools in various different ways? So it created the umbrella that everyone's able to explore how it uniquely fits their situation. That's upcoming. That was just announced. So we are all going to find out how this actually works, but in small parts and pieces, we can start building it in. I will say one of the projects that I've used in my Aviation 2401 class was really focused on mission planning, which is honestly, flying is great. I enjoy it, but mission planning is so much fun for me. And so being able to provide a location and a base of a project, have the students start using those tools to be able to do it. Or maybe we're going to start looking at COA writing, whether it's BV loss or whether it is swarm or whatever, and having them use those tools to kind of research what's been done and where they can go from there. All these things are really great tools to be able to use that AI in it. And then, of course, building it into the drone. I know computer science students, mechanical, aerospace are using that. In fact, they've used AI, whether it was called AI or not, for many years, and different research projects for drones and uncrewed.
Yeah, and that's something that folks don't sometimes appreciate. But for our audience, I mean, AI had been around for a while and not just, as popular until GPT came out and people started becoming familiar and comfortable, because there's a difference, and you might have heard about it or seen it, but until you're comfortable with it, you don't really know what's going on there.
And you might not want to call a drone an AI, 10 years ago, because that might have been too fresh to some movies that you saw or something like that. So yes, public perception for drones is also incredibly important. I tell my students that all the time, that there are rules of the road, but there's also public perception, that one bad story can ruin a lot of different things. things.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And I love your comment about trusting and verifying, because if I put into ChatGPT the best sports school in the world, it's like Michigan all the time. I'm like, come on.
Uh, that's okay. OSU still pays my bills, and I do think that we might have won last year. So
Yeah, that's. I just had to throw a little bit of stick in there. But what about industry internships and partnerships from OSU? Do you have any kind of connections? I know we're connected, USI and OSU, from the education front, but do you have any other type of industry internships that you guys are working on?
we definitely are trying to spin up a lot of them. I know that I was working on a very specific and unique set of internships tied to our study abroad course in Switzerland, where I was actually working with the Wingtras and the flyabilities and Pix 4D, trying to figure out, can I get a student over there for a trip and leave them there for an internship, those types of things, or what does it look like to reciprocate in the States. So there's definitely those partnerships really do help, and also OSU is a great draw to bring people together. And so we have had in the past drone rodeos or drone symposiums or whatever, and that allows students to be able to meet industry partners and organically find those internships. We know these companies have them. We definitely have possibilities through our career services office and Handshake, but we're starting to create more pathways for our students, especially in those summer months of what they want to do. We've
Yeah.
also discovered a lot of students have spun up companies, and so like Parawave, which is really focused on drone as first responder, spun out from OSU and has been really great at bringing students into the mix and investing in the students here. And, we just so happen to have a really amazing Anduril is moving into Columbus, actually already has
Yeah.
moved in a big way. So there's definitely going to be pathways that we will continue to develop. We already have pathways now.
And what better way to be prepared and job ready, like we were talking about earlier, than have some type of internship where you're staying proficient, because that's an important part of it too. Is we can be trained and we can feel great, but unless you maintain that proficiency, you lose a bit of the skills that you learned if you don't stay on top of it.
Well, the other big thing too is if we're talking about stick and autonomous, I have a certain number of aircraft, but we all know aircraft are not cheap and they don't grow
Yeah.
on trees. And yes, I have a Christmas wish list if anyone wants to ask me what it is. Um, but having students go out in the field with other companies, each company has a different platform. So
Yeah.
if you have more than one internship over the course of your college career, you're getting a look at so many different operating procedures,
Yeah.
different aircraft, different ways of mission planning, and different types of work. So that broad nature is really important.
Yeah, that's right. So you spoke about Switzerland, which I found interesting. I know I've been there before and they got the greatest snacks on earth. So what drew you to Switzerland though?
Well, speaking of snacks, it was eating a sandwich in a cornfield in the middle of Ohio when I was doing the research flights. And I had a Wingtra out and it was paint in the sky doing a multispectral project. And I'm like, wonder where this is from. Oh, Switzerland. Cool. Go back to my office, throw the data into Pix40. I'm like, where's this from? Switzerland. Cool. Why Switzerland? And then I'm like, I think I would like to go there. I wonder if students would. Pitch a trip. All of a sudden, fast forward a year later, we've got a group of students exploring the big picture of why are all these drone companies coming out of Switzerland? And so we would go throughout. We started the first year was Zurich and ended up in Geneva. And along the way, we were meeting Wingtra. We're going into the collegiate realm with um, Zurich University of Applied Sciences to see how they're using it for glaciers or mountains or agriculture, flyability. Pix 40, we went and talked to Matternet for drone delivery. This year we talked to Drone Harmony. We also introduced them to Anybotics. But the fun thing is everyone, oh, and also the regulations. FOCA
Oh yeah,
over there was really great. They even came to Pixporty's office, so that just showed that collaborative nature and that you could pretty much have a conversation with anyone at any company with a 2 hour train ride and you're having coffee, really good coffee, and maybe some chocolate on the side.
definitely chocolate.
Um, I mean, I mean, Switzerland as a whole is a beautiful place to visit, but
Yeah,
it's really funny. By 2/3 of the trip, you're seeing students on their phone on Amazon looking at how they can order a drone and have it ready at their house by the time they get home.
yeah, yeah.
It's really eye-opening to see that broad nature, and every student would light up differently as they're walking the halls of flyability or Wingtra. Maybe it was the autonomous software that was exciting to one, but the hardware or the assembly for another. So you never knew what was going to do it. But
Yeah,
that was
and
the start of something we've already have done twice, with the third one coming in 2027.
it speaks to the global nature of the industry as well, because we tend to focus on America and what's going on here. Being an American university and American training corporation, we're thinking like, what can we do? But we're starting to see again that aperture I talked about grow, because we're very familiar with our partners in Switzerland and beyond, and they're starting to come to us for our training curriculum, because they know we have a certain standard of training here that we develop, and they want to partner with that, and they don't want to reinvent the wheel. And I think that's a testament to seeing from both sides of the lens. They might have a really great technology, a tool. Hey, let's bring it over here and let's use it. And they see that we might have really good curriculum and teaching pathways, and let's bring that over there as well.
And I think that's where I have the most fun in academia is we get to be that connector as well. So maybe I'm talking to Centera about their multispectral platform, and I'm like, boy, do you know who you need to talk to? You need to talk to Wingtra, or you need to talk to Quantum Systems, or you need to talk to Census, or being able to connect the dots, and then at the same time go into the classroom and say, oh, you're interested in that? That question was fantastic. How about I introduce you to X, Y, or Z? Oh, UAS is a new industry, and it's really tightly knit. And I bet you can play 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon with anyone in the industry and make those
Do you
connections.
have any stories you can share with some success? You have some students that graduated and went on to do something wonderful. Do you have some examples of that?
One of my favorites is we had someone just pass through the first two classes. At this point, I don't think they ever graduated, but they have now flown in all but two states. They're working on their Transport Canada. They created their own business, and they are absolutely killing it in the inspection field. And periodically checks back with it. But another one of my favorite stories that just recently happened is one of my students from one of the 2401, Nathan Darple, started working as a lead pilot for Aero Velocity, which is based out of Ohio, and he was an aviation student. And we ended up partnering with MIT on a research project that was doing some tests, and we ended up flying KOSU Airport. And so Nathan actually was able to come back, and he was the actual one doing the LiDAR mission on, I believe it was a Free Flight Alta X. And I messaged him just so happy that someone that went through our class that was going down this aviation path is still in aviation, flying the runway that he flew off of, and moved out from just an Autel Nano to now this multi-thousand dollar Alta X and doing really great things. And he's loving it. And better yet, I'm like, you know what would be great is if you come back and tell our students about
That's
your
it.
story as
That's it.
well.
Share the
And
lessons learned, share the success, and you're energizing those that are in the wings. Yeah.
Exactly. And I could go down. Aero Velocity has another alum that's one of the founding members. He was part of the founders of the Mountain Drone team. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of little stories. And some of them might be on the behind the scenes, but they're loving every minute of the work that they're doing.
Well, you said something interesting, Chris, and I want to. It's tough because I respect the collegiate academic, the degree creating programs. I very much do. I have a degree and I'm very proud of it. And I think everyone should endeavor to it. But what's interesting is that in 10 short weeks, you can go from not having any idea about drone technology. And 10 weeks later, you're ready to be in the career field of drone technology and deploying drones and operating them. And I think that's very powerful. It's along the lines of trade schools. I think
Hmm.
there's this, you got to get your degree, you got to get your degree. But some folks forget there's some trades and there's some hands on and there's some other skills that can be, you know, completed that aren't degree, making. I think it's important, but I just want to make sure we talk about that quickly.
That's one of the things, one of my favorite partnerships that we've been building is even with career centers. I have two daughters. I know one is going into college, and yes, she is going to get a Part 107 because she's like, well, it just makes sense. I know what it can do. Um, but the youngest one will probably go to college, but I keep telling her, I'm like, college isn't for everyone. If what you want to do doesn't require college, then you go ahead and do that. And so, yeah, it is amazing that this is basically learning a really specialized tool that can be used for anything. Maybe that student is interested in roofing. What better way to inspect a roof than with a drone? And you're seeing that time and time again, or construction projects and that recurring stuff. You don't need to have a 4-year degree or a master's degree in order to do that unique path that you want.
Yeah.
But in 10 short weeks, you can be up to speed on it. Now, there are definitely resources that you find that a degree can give you, or that leg up or the net, but you don't
Yeah.
need the degree.
Yeah, you can build upon it with additional business acumen and things of that, like where you get the basics in that 10 weeks and you go out and start deploying. But you're going to maybe need some more background and fundamentals on some other things if you want to start your own business or something like that.
I have a master's degree in art history. What do I use it for? Nothing except it was the golden ticket that allowed me to get into this path. I started supporting archaeology. Support a lot of different things. It's not the degree, it's the person, and it's what you do with those forks in the road that you have.
I really appreciate your time today, and I think the audience does too. But what does Chris want to see change, or what innovations would you like to see in the drone education field, or over the next few years?
Well, the two hot button topics right now that are going to make my life and our life at OSU and in the field in general is we need to be able to know what the future holds with Part 108 and these advanced operations, because I think that that's going to really highlight what we need to prepare them for 3 years, 4 years down the road. The other thing too is we really need this industry, especially the U.S. based industry, to be able to kind of start filling those gaps from that we're starting to see with affordable aircraft that you can get students hands on. Right now, we have been moving away from Chinese aircraft for the last 5 years, but what can I fill in its place? And so for me, I really want to see that great American company, whoever it may be. Maybe it's the Skydios that start filling and bringing back their S2 so I can put it in my students' hands, or maybe it's someone that I don't know yet that's going to fill that gap. But I know that schools across America definitely would love to be able to see some equipment that you can start people on from the consumer line that's going to compete with the price point close, not exact, but be able to be something that we can start getting our students involved in, and maybe it's the Anzu Raptor or whatever. I don't know what it is, but I know we need something to solidify so that we can start spending money properly.
It seems like we're saying you need the Strasbaugh 3000 to.
I just need to get some students in mechanical and aerospace to put it together. I'm one step away.
There you go. There you go. Well, it's been great talking to you, and I appreciate all your time. And I wish you luck on your next adventure over there in Switzerland and with your next cohort and your classes. And thank you again for joining us.
And thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks again for watching the Unmanned Podcast. I had a great time with Chris, and I hope you enjoyed our conversation. I'm Matt Hernandez. Thanks again for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon.